we hope they steal more of our ideas, because that's what will, conservative ideas are what will improve the quality of life for all Canadians.
Andrew Scheer was on CTV News with Vassy Kapelos and absolutely shredded the Liberals, making them look completely lost.
I've asked the same question of your counterpart in government, but I wanted to ask you as well. How can Canadians expect your party to approach this session that is different from the last one?
Well, a lot of that will depend on what the government brings forward. Parliament is about to start. We don't yet have a clear idea of what their priorities are going to be. There's some really easy stuff, though, that they can do that would get the approval of the House of Commons. That would be to undo the terrible Liberal policies from the previous Parliament.
Scheer was being really blunt with her, but in a nice way. I think it was a good way to go about it, but it was embarrassing for the Liberals.
So if the government wants some easy ideas, some low-hanging fruit to improve the lives of Canadians, they could start with, for example, repealing Liberal Bill C-75 and C-5. Those are two pieces of legislation that the Liberals brought in that caused the explosion of crime in our communities with their easy bail instead of jail policies. They could fully and completely eliminate the carbon tax for everyone on everything, including the industrial side as well, so that our Canadian manufacturers are not playing shorthanded against their American competitors. They could repeal Bill C-69, that's the No More Pipelines law, which led to a complete desertion of our energy sector by investors and massive attack on jobs throughout Canada, including Western Canada. So those are some really easy things they could do that they could bring forward to the House that we not only would we support, we've been calling for it.
He lays it out so simple for them and even mentions how they steal conservative ideas and tells them they can even steal more.
Pierre has suggested that what the Liberals should do is steal more of our ideas. It was the Liberals basically had to spend a bunch of time during the campaigning against their own record and promising to Canadians that they won't do more of the things that caused the explosion in housing prices and rent prices, the devaluing of workers' paycheck with their inflationary deficits. They had to campaign against their signature economic and environmental policy on the carbon tax. So we hope they steal more of our ideas, because that's what will, conservative ideas are what will improve the quality of life for all Canadians.
He takes an opportunity to take a jab at Carney for the horrible job he's been doing so far. We all know it's true, and I think a lot of Liberal voters are having a lot of regret right now.
When we're talking about reversing, I mean, Mark Carney has had a terrible first couple of weeks. I mean, he's got a housing minister that says that housing prices don't have to come down after Carney campaigned during the campaign on making housing more affordable. You've got Stephen Guilbeault still in cabinet saying mistruths, falsehoods about the energy sector, claiming that we don't need more pipelines because our pipelines are underused. Not mentioning the fact that hundreds of billions of dollars of investment in the energy sector have left because there's no ability to get energy to market. So we have to wait and see what Mark Carney actually lands on, because so far he's been on both sides of a few key issues.
Scheer mentioning that the Conservatives are willing to work with them on issues, but pointing out that they are Liberal issues that need to be fixed.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think, and I certainly didn't mean to imply rather that the opposition's job was not to oppose, but I think the message from Canadians, and you have acknowledged this in other press conferences, and so has Mr. Poilievre, the message from Canadians, I think, is in the face of a crisis, when there are places that we can work together, perhaps like this is the time, if any, to look and seek out those places. And my example of dental care was, like, I can remember on multiple occasions your party vehemently saying it was a terrible thing and a terrible idea, and then the fact that it was in your platform as something you would keep for the people who still had it is difficult to reconcile.
Well, you know, you mentioned specifically working together on things that face our country as a crisis, and on that you're absolutely right. Our leader Pierre Poilievre has signaled that on strengthening Canada's position to deal with these unjustified and unfair tariffs from the United States, that we want the government to succeed in getting those tariffs lifted on behalf of Canadians. We believe that the best way to do that is to make Canada stronger, to make Canada a more attractive place to invest. If you've got American investors trying to do business in Canada, you're more likely to have more pressure put on the U.S. administration to lift those tariffs. And when you have a Liberal government that's canceling major pipeline projects, imposing an industrial carbon tax on our steel and aluminum manufacturers, it's less likely that you're going to have that leverage. But by all means, you know, if there are things that Mr. Carney believes that we can be helpful on to help advance his goal of removing those tariffs, we would take a look at those, obviously.
Again, he finds another opportunity to take a jab at Carney for all that talk he did during the election. There were quite a few lies, and he made promises that will likely never come true.
But I do need to point out that Mark Carney has set the bar for himself very high. You know, he has said that he's the man you hire in a crisis. He said that he can handle all these kinds of things and that he's got the solution. So we're heading into a time of the year where there's some troubling economic data. When Canadians' household debt is continuing to rise, we've got job losses in some key sectors, and these tariffs are still on. They have not come off. He has not got that deal yet. So while we want those tariffs to come off and we want to be helpful in doing what we can to ensure that happens, we are going to hold this government to account to actually get results. It's not enough to just announce your intentions and say things during a campaign. You actually have to deliver.
If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you could, hit that like button, share this video, and please consider subscribing. We'll see you in the next one.